We met on the 15th of August 2011 at a boot camp where I was fat and unhappy and Susan was just really unhappy.
Oh.
Yeah, I wasn't happy with my life. And we met there, didn't we? So we both met in a place where we wanted to improve our lives.
You were both doing completely different jobs at the time.
Yes, I was actually working at a fitness franchise, and
I was working in the police control room as a radio dispatcher.
I got divorced. We were both married to men, you see. So we had to go through a lot of changes, a lot of life changes. We both went through our own mental struggles.
Yeah.
At the time, also, you know, we're both married to men. We're now married to each other. I've got children, and we had a lot of transformational issues going on there.
Yeah.
And we weren't unhappy with our lives. So what we did is, in time, we made changes, didn't we? And the last part of it was we both weren't happy with our careers. So once we changed husbands to each other, once we moved house, the last thing really was, I don't like where I spend most of my time, you know.
Yeah.
And we were thinking, okay, so we're going to either like keep taking these tablets or keep going and seeing this therapist or whatever, which there's nothing wrong with that. But we were like, why don't we give it a shot? And why don't we try and do something that's going to make others feel better like we have? Mm-hmm. So we'll help them with their journey as well in the community.
I was in the police control room thinking, I spend more time here than I do with my family. Mm-hmm. I was taking medication for a form of bipolar, and I was really, really unhappy. And when I left, I came off all of that. And I don't think, I basically took them because I was so unhappy where I was. So we had to make a change, and we formed a plan.
And we don't take anything?
No, we don't take anything now.
I mind I haven't given coffee up.
Well, we do have green juice every morning.
We do make our
But
own juice.
that's about it.
So whose idea was the cafe, or did you just...
Well, what happened was Susan basically said, right, I'm going to be a Reiki healer. And I remember she basically she'd left, and we woke up one morning and she was like, oh, I've got my Reiki today. And I was like... And she did it that quick because she just knew she had a knowing. So she went and done that, and she got fully qualified. And then I was saying, wouldn't it be great, like, if on my days off I had like a little coffee machine in your Reiki place, so I could come with you to work and I could make people coffee while you were doing treatments and stuff.
I think you just wanted to hang around.
I did. I wanted to be with you more.
You just wanted to hang around and make me coffees.
Which is now what I do.
I know.
So the cafe is not just a cafe, is it?
It is not just a cafe. It's also a watering hole for the community, and I suppose it's a place where people frequent to now to gather, really. So we like to gather. We go to coffee houses. We like that, and we thought, well, that would be really cool, because then people, you see, what we're trying to do is help everybody in the community. The spiritualist stuff has got a bit of a stigma still attached to it, you know, like this ancient, like you're going to be walking around in robes, wafting feathers around all the time, and like omming all the time, just let's om it, everybody. But we want to kind of connect the mainstream people, meaning everybody really. So when you're walking around, you can just feel the atmosphere when you come in. I'm sure you could feel it yourself. Yeah. When you came in, everybody says that we wanted to create a place where this nice energy's made by us and everybody who comes, and then people start to want to open up and talk, and you just let them, you know, you just give them a bit of peace and a bit of space. And I think the point is, we're all doing too much, we don't have enough space. So if you just provide some space where somebody has some time, whether they're drinking tea, coffee, water, whatever it is, they will actually start to heal themselves. They'll start to think about things that they've distracted throughout the day and whatnot.
I think one of our greatest superpowers is a couple, a team, whatever you want to call it, is that wherever me and Susan go, it's like we have like this amazing energy around it, and we'll make people feel great. And we'll walk into a room and we'll light it up.
We're lighting up the northeast, slowly but surely, aren't we?
We're trying to get the community, you know, whether you meditate 40 times a day and you're like the biggest spiritual person ever, or whether you like don't believe in anything spiritual and think meditation's a load of rubbish, doesn't matter. Like, we don't care. Like, whatever label you feel like you carry, it doesn't matter, because you just come to Cloud9 because we're not bothered.
Nobody care. We care so much that we just don't care about you. We don't care about what you're wearing. We don't care about what you're doing. We care so much that we don't care. You know what I mean?
Who comes to the cafe?
We've got a huge variation of people that come. We have really, really spiritual people that come. We have people who don't like to go to coffee shops come in. And that's one of my favourite things. There's a person who comes in, he doesn't like coffee shops at all, and he comes here all the time. Like, he loves it. We'll have a bit crack, he has a coffee, he has a bit cake.
Amongst others as well, when they get used to coming here, they know they can just speak their mind or get something off their chest. And we've actually, like, had tears with people and stuff, like cried with them if they've been upset, or just put their hand on their shoulder. We've had a lot of people with mental health. We've had a lot of women especially who come, because I think women need to group together to talk about their problems. I think men don't need to do it as much. Not saying that they don't, but there's still, women crave circles of other women to support and talk about their problems. And also we've had a lot of people in recovery with cancer, especially women who are just like, you just have no idea what you've done. And I'm like, no, we didn't do it, you did it, you know. But we've just allowed you to be. We've had people who've come in a right state, anxiety. We've had people who come and sit on the chair you're sitting on, type of thing. And we've put blankets on them because they're just so like, they need a blanket and a bowl of soup, you know what I mean?
We've had people come in, hysterical, crying, really distressed. We've sat them down, put a blanket on them, and when they're leaving, they feel a million times better. But to have people come up to me and Susan and say, like, what you've created is amazing, and they've always wanted something like this, and they couldn't live without it now, and it's great.
And you mentioned the spiritual aspect, and you do spiritual things here too, don't you?
I think everything's spiritual. I think everybody's spiritual, because if you have a soul, then you have a spirit. If you have a spirit, then it's like what you would call an invisible part of you that is just all feeling. It's not solid. It's not. It's what you feel. It's what you trust in your gut. So we're trying to kind of bridge that gap between spirituality and spirituality. And it's like, basically, do you have a soul? Do you breathe? Do you sleep at night and don't die? You know, you must have there's a soul in there.
What? People hear the word spirituality and they think, oh, what?
Like mental health as well, isn't
it's
it?
like, people think, oh my God. But this was me actually. Right, okay, so this was me when I worked for the police. Spirituality, like, what a load of rubbish. Like, you know, I thought spirituality was like going to just all the maybe things about like trying to contact deceased people and things like that. I didn't realise spirituality was just learning about yourself, or maybe being able to sit in a room and close your eyes and try and just watch your thoughts go by, as opposed to battling them with it like in your head. But with the spirituality thing, when people meet me and Susan, because we're so mainstream and so likeable and not dressed in like flowing things, singing that Aquarius song, right?
I love that song.
I love it as well, right?
Like the song,
but it does put people off.
It does put people
right?
off.
We're like the ant on deck, right? Of the spiritual world. We are the people to bring spirituality to mainstream. Because it's not all about wearing all that stuff and dancing around the Aquarius.
But I don't wear them for work.
No. You two have obviously made a huge difference to a lot of people's lives while you've been here, and you've seen the difference that you've made. People come back, and having something like this is obviously incredibly important for people. And you would like to see this kind of thing spread?
Everywhere. That has always been the plan. You know, this thing was totally rushed. I'll just briefly go into, I took up meditation for myself. That's why I teach it in the community, and also for certain charities, you know, women on probation and vulnerable women. I'm going to start doing it for other things like cancer recovery and charities. That's what I did before this was open. I took it up for my own mental health, so I'm only just repeating what I know through experience. So basically, I just thought, I can't meditate. This is ridiculous. I can't shut my eyes. I can't do it. This is empty your mind. So I just went to the beach, where my favourite place is, and I just kept asking over and over in my mind, looking out the sea. I didn't shout to God. Nothing. I just said, what do I need to do? And I'll do it over and over again. And then I started to meditate. by continually asking that mantra, if you like, that's what it's called, this question constantly, and this is what has been the result of that. So when you're not sure who you are, what you need to do, where you're going, what's right for you, the main question we get asked a lot, who am I? That'll help you, because you just keep asking the question. Or what is the point in all this? It's a good question. Don't get despair. Don't get desperate about it.
Do you know, like, when you go into a meditative state, right? You could be in there for, I don't know, 10 minutes, right? And you feel like you've had the best night's sleep. Like a full night. Like, you could go to sleep for a full night but not sleep great.
Yeah.
And then wake up feeling groggy the next day. But 10 minutes meditation, it just recharges your battery, man.
10 minutes. It's like signing out your computer just for a
turning off
minute.
the
Just get
Wi-Fi.
this out. And and actually, a little tip here. It was a load of monks told us this, actually. And they said if you work on computers all the time, every hour you must just close your eyes for 1 minute. And if you imagine like an 8-hour day on a computer, which many hundreds of my clients, they do it, and they have lots of neck strains. And if they do that, in 8 hours, they've done an 8-minute meditation. And it just helps to keep your feet back on the floor, and it would also help with your fragmentation, feeling that like spaced out. When you go home and you think,
You can always find a minute in an hour. No matter what you're dealing with, what you're doing, you can find that minute if you want to.
I mean, who doesn't believe a monk?
I know.
Who doesn't believe a monk?